Good afternoon. My name is Thomas Mills. I'm the leader of the Tokyo Thomas, a team in the illustrious Emory Pokemon Draft League, and this is a postmortem for my season 5 of the Emory Pokemon Draft League. I like to start out with an analysis of my team, followed by an analysis of my performance, and finally some key takeaways. This is unscripted, so I'll just be going through my team and the season we had these past few weeks and giving my thoughts. I'm being pinged on the work site, so I'll have to get to that. But for now, let's dive into the team. If you take a look, this is the team I finished with. These 12. Now, this league has a minimum of 10. And I think if you were to take a look at other teams, you'll notice 11, 10, 10, 10, 10, 10. Don't think anybody else had 12. I went for 12. But that's not how we started. That's where I ended up. And let's first take a look at where it began. Transactions. You may also notice something standing out here. A couple transactions. Eric had a lot. I had a hand in that. I had quite a few transactions in my time. I started the league with Miss Magius and Meowstic. Miss Magius because she was a good Pokemon, had good value. I didn't have a ghost type at the time. Meowstic just because I had 2 points and Max said, she's fine. But I dropped them. And I picked up quite a few different mons. I picked up Incineroar before I realized, or rather I was informed, and I can say this now, that I didn't have 2 D tiers, which is a requirement for the league. I had it'd be 5 C tiers, 1 D tier. So I had to drop Incineroar before anybody else noticed, and I got beaten to death with hammers. And so I picked up Copperajah, complete dog shit. Tried to play that into Noah, the Shanghai Superiors, in our league, and just felt like it couldn't do anything. It's at least not anything that other mons on my team could do as well. The biggest thing to note that is different about my team from where it started versus where it is today. Take a look. My first pick, Urshifu. I had multiple wall breakers on my team when it first came around. I had Urshifu, Araquanid, who is definitely a wall breaker with specs, a band, or even just any investment. That thing will do infinite damage with Water Bubble, which doubles your water-based attacks. You tear or water, you got Water Stab, your water moves are doubled. I mean, it's got bad stats, but that'll break through anything. Very few things can wall Araquanid, though of course I had to play against all of them. Unfortunately, I think I played against 2 water absorb mons. That was a bad week for Alamomola Araquanid, I'll tell you that. Anyway, I had wall breakers. And something that I used to have on here was Arcanine Hizui. Pokemon that is amazing, I think, for its value. It was rated, I think, 13 on a 25-point scale. A C tier. Very, very worth it. Very worth it. However, something I realized with this team is that when you're thinking about roles and what roles you want to fill, too many wall breakers, just not good enough. Too slow wall breakers. It's just, what do you need all that damage for? What's it all for? And then I would have this huge amount of damage from Urshifu and from Arcanine and from Araquanid that could break any wall, and then how would I clean it up? All I had that was fast was Noivern, who is not a sweeper, as much as I would like him to be, and Iron Crown. Iron Crown, the biggest letdown of the season for me, by far. I put a lot of my season on Iron Crown. You'll notice he actually has one of the worst KDs on the team. Cryogonal worse, but he's a wall, so like, come on. 1-4 is just, it's just abysmal. He couldn't do anything for me, honestly. And I think that might be a weakness that I just had to bear as a player, not able to use him to his fullest. But anyway, all that being said, those are the transactions that occurred early on. I traded away Arcanine Nizui. I traded away a number of mons, trying to figure out what balance of wall breaking to sweeping to walls to pivot to the utility. What do I want on my team? Typing was never an issue. I think typing wise, my team was great. It was a bit unfortunate my only steel type was Iron Crown because he does just fail to wall so many things. I mean, I was looking at Calc's Landers Incarnate Sheer Force against Iron Crown. I just couldn't get him to live no matter what I did. It's a sad state of affairs. So yeah, into the team I ended up with. Urshifu, he's the mon I have the most to say about because he's the mon I thought the hardest about. I thought the most about Urshifu. I thought, what could I do to make this mon work? I have notes, so many notes, highlighting what is wrong with Urshifu, or what I could do with Urshifu to make him work. In fact, let me show you something. We're actually beginning an impromptu part 0.5, the draft. I prepped a lot for this season, a lot. Folks that know me will know that if I want to win real bad, I'll put in a lot of work. I'll put in a lot of work to figure out what's going to work best. And I made a whole spreadsheet dedicated to making a team work in Season 5 before the draft, so I could be prepared. But specifically, so this man right here, could tie it all together. I wanted to make the Urshifu draft. And I had up here, oh, I could pick Valiant or Deoxys, they're interesting to me. But never. Never did I think I would actually pick them because I knew in my heart I needed to make Urshifu work. He had only been legal for one season previous to this one, and he didn't do anything. And you know, there was some fraud watch from people. They were saying, oh, maybe it was the players didn't use him to his fullest. You know, he hits really hard. He's a nightmare on ladder, or all that. And the VGC players obviously have trauma. So I thought maybe I could have my hand at him. I'd been watching a guy on YouTube, Q the Costa Rican. He's in the PPL, and I saw him winning. He didn't end up winning, but at the time I was watching him, he was doing well. I think he was 4-0 and then ended up being 4-4 and then losing. But he was winning games, and Urshifu looked so fun because he looked so ignorant, right? You click this button, this Wicked Blow, and you are guaranteed to do a lot of damage to whatever you come across. And I looked at calcs. I remember looking at calcs. I would look at... That's not right. I have a new PC, so like none of my calcs are hexed in. Let's look at my Devon. Yeah, I prepped a lot for Devon. So Wicked Blow, it's just like random Pokemon, one hit KO, one hit KO. Oh, I'm looking at +2. Anyway, it does a shit ton of damage. Pardon my French, to basically any Pokemon. That's a Punching Glove. Let's look at Band. It's a guaranteed hit to anything. Tozo Blissey, not so much. Kind of defeating my own point here, but the point being, Urshifu clicked a random button and would do a shit ton of damage. Pretty good coverage. You know, he's got Iron Head, Poison Jab. He's got U-Turn. He's got setup sets with Swords Dance. And I was looking at this Pokemon. I thought, wow, this thing can really do it all. I don't think it has many, if any, flaws. Maybe it's slow. I noted, but I thought, oh, I'll just get something fast on the side that can cover its speed problems, and he's not going to be a sweeper anyway. He's just going to break the wall, and then something else will handle it. And I think that maybe was my first and biggest mistake in drafting. So I build this schizo doc. I make a list of all the Pokemon I want to cover specific niches in my team. I really thought this through. I thought, well, I'll make a list of all the Pokemon I like that can do any given thing, and I'll highlight the ones that have good overlap and that I like. And I think I made a terror list too. Beloved terrors. Yeah, no, I completely lost my fucking mind prepping for the season. I don't even remember what I was thinking. But I settled on Urshifu. And you know what? Let me try to get Corviknight and Tinglu as Great Walls. Didn't end up getting either. Very popular mons. And then let's go for Iron Crown as my dedicated special sweeper. It's got pivot. It's a great mon on paper. I learned a lot about these Pokemon in using them, and I learned to hate them. Almost every single one. No, not true. I'd say a couple of them I really learned to hate. A couple of them I learned to love. Though I will say, to top off the draft talk here, I think this was a pretty exhaustive way of prepping, and I think I definitely covered all my bases, but I think this kind of brute force macro analysis of the board, seeing what can fulfill the most of these boxes, what covers the most of these. I think it lacks the insight that a more vibes based maybe look at what this proposed team would look like, and seeing like on paper it can cover a lot of the things, but does Iron Crown really have a moveset that can support a sweeping role? Can Urshifu really be a dedicated wall breaker all the time? Things like that. It had some blind spots, this drafting style, and I think that was really uncovered by my first game, which I'll touch on in a little bit. Anyway, see, like, what was I even thinking about here? When I prep, I'll say that. Anyway, back to the team. I'm just going to go down the board. Timestamp here. I'm just going to go down the board and discuss my thoughts on each Pokemon. Strengths, weaknesses. Urshifu, you're killing me, bro. You're killing me. I think the biggest problem with Urshifu is that every single person I came across had an amazing check to Urshifu. And I gotta say, I think a lot of the problems with Urshifu were my fault, and me not using him to his fullest as a wall breaker. Sure, he gets checked by many Pokemon on a given team, gets outsped, revenge killed by anything, basically. I'm not selling him very well. He's good because he has stab, sucker punch, good move pool, strong signature move, and he's got sauce. His ability basically never matters. There's like 3 Pokemon in the league that click protect anyway, and I never had to fight any of them, so didn't matter. Gliscor would have taken a beating, I guess, but anyway. I thought Urshifu is a great Pokemon, though when I think about where he was at in the tiering, points-wise, he was, I believe, 24 out of 25. Let's pull him up. So yeah, 24 out of 25 points. So really a top 10 mon on the board. But when I look at the other mons in this tiering, in this cost range, especially at 25, right? 24 and 25, they're Pokemon that should be able to succeed in any situation. You can get value out of them, and they can really pop off. And I think Urshifu just couldn't do that. He can get value in any situation. He can't get an advantage in any situation. A lot of the time, it's like you're going to do 30% damage as Urshifu, and then you're forced to switch out because he has a Zarude on the board that's about to nuclear bomb moonblast you. It's not as bad as with Rapid Strike, who really just gets destroyed by any Rocky Helmet user. Forced run protective pads, actual protective pads merchant over there. Urshifu has the flexibility to run many different items. I did try to experiment there, but it's just, when I look at where he's at, he's just not as good as the other Pokemon. I think he needs support to succeed. As an S tier, I feel that he fails to drive the kind of value that other S tiers are able to do. I look at Roaring Moon, a Pokemon that is always amazing. He's fast, great stats. Stab also amazing, like Urshifu, for offensive pressure, and can really run a number of sets to set up on your team. I think Urshifu is a lot weaker as like your single S tier, because you're only getting one S tier in this format, right? And if your only S tier is Urshifu, and you're drafting conservatively with the rest of your points, kind of spreading it for a more balanced draft like I did, that's going to leave you with a pretty weaker team than a lot of the other people. I mean, my two strongest mons were Urshifu and Iron Crown / Gengar, I guess. You compare that to somebody with Iron Valiant and Iron Treads, and I'm thinking, we're not even playing the same game at that point. The 6 I'm bringing are at feel like they're at a steeply discounted value. It's just my fault. My fault. I tried very much to draft in a new style this time. I wanted to try different things, try different types of Pokemon, try different ways of drafting. I was accused of having a very top-heavy draft in previous seasons, and I wanted to see if a more balanced draft would be better. This isn't to say that it's not. It's to say that the balanced draft I made was perhaps dog shit. We'll get into performance in a little bit. On to Iron Crown. Fuck you, Iron Crown. Pardon my French. I can't stand this thing. Oh my god, look at its move pool. It's enough to make me throw up. Sorry, again, I have like none of my teams basically. Iron Crown. Seeing a lot of Steel, Psychic, and Fighting moves. He's got Volt Switch, and let's see, in terms of special moves, because he's a special attacker, his attack stat is quite bad. Attack stat of only 72, and yet a lot of attacking moves, maybe as a vestige of being Cabalion's distant grandson. You look at his special type moves, literally just Steel and Psychic with a token Focus Blast and Volt Switch. I guess you could run Air Slash if you really need a fucking Air Slash. Like, it's just pathetic coverage. It is absolutely pathetic coverage on a pretty high cost mon. He costs 14, I think, 14 or 15. Not crazy high cost, but for my purposes, it was really frustrating to have not seen just how limiting this move pool was until I had drafted him, and to be so frustrated because suddenly there's not a ton that can wall Iron Crown completely, that like resists all of its stabs, and that can really wall it. Other Pokemon that are Psychic Steel can, but what, there's like 4 of those. Iron Crown, Metagross, Jirachi. I fought both of those in my first 3 weeks of playing, and they just shit on it, obviously. Tinglu shits on it. There's a number of things in the league that just look at Iron Crown and say, what the fuck are you going to do to me? Call mine 3 times, I don't give a fuck. Like, it doesn't matter. Because they'll just click Dark Pulse, or they'll click Earthquake, or they'll just look at it with any offensive move that hits super effective and it explodes. That's why for almost every week I tried to bring Weakness Policy or see if I could fit Weakness Policy on. Just because so much shits on it. You basically have to run AV to live things, or live special hits if you anticipate special hits, or like a Specs just so that you can Volt Switch and get out of there. As a sweeper, he never ever popped off. I thought Booster Energy sets could really pop, and they just didn't in a way that I wanted them to, set it in a satisfying way. I'm gonna check my work messages because I'm getting so many messages. Personal rating. 7 out of 10. 4 out of 10. 9 9 out of 10 for Gengar. And to explain that, onto Gengar. Gengar has amazing sauce, amazing speed tier, great typing, honestly, and just the most ridiculous move pool I've ever seen in my life. I saw a Jimothy Cool video a number of months ago describing all the sets you can run on Gengar, and albeit this was for Gen 3, but he hasn't really lost moves since then. He's gotten some more bullshit. The video is 30 minutes talking about sets you can run for Gengar. And I took that to heart, and I ran a lot of bullshit this season for Gengar. I think he's great. I think he's an amazing Pokemon. His KD wasn't amazing, but he clutched up in times where I thought he would not. I only picked him up really towards the end of the season once I had already given up. But I really think if I had him earlier, that might have been a difference maker for sure. Especially to have just a fast Mon that can do numbers. I thought he was great. I want to give that a 9 out of 10. Not too much else to say about him, but just good Mon. Very good Mon. And his ability sometimes comes in clutch, you know. Sandy Shocks. If Iron Crown is the king of disappointment, Sandy Shocks is his shitty little brother. I thought he had so much potential and he did not deliver. I mean, I might just be a sucker for coverage, but a Pokemon that his best non-stab option is Power Gem? Are you kidding me? Like, you got anything better in the tank, little bro? I'm hoping I could, you know, hit with maybe I'm not asking for a damn Hurricane or an Ice Beam, but it'd be nice. I mean, he's got a number of fighting type moves. I mean, he doesn't have terrible attack. Sorry, a number of physical moves, I should say. He doesn't have terrible attack. It's not good. But, like, I want to hit with something special. You're telling me all I got is Electric, Ground, Stab, of which you're going to do Thunderbolt and Volt Switch and Earth Power basically all the time. Could do Scorching Sands, maybe. It's not terrible. But his only other options are Power Gem and Flash Cannon, which just doesn't hit that good. Coverage moves, only 2 coverage moves, both of which being 80 power. It's just for a special attacker. And I saw him on the billet as a special attacker. I thought he could be this Mon that sets hazards, has awesome typing, and can do damage, but that was just too good to be true. End of the day, basically all this fucker ever does is set up rocks and spikes and then die. It's not what I want in a Pokemon, and honestly, if that's what I knew he would be, I would just pick Glamora. I like Glamora a lot more, and it can provide value in much different ways, spreading hazards and such, or spreading status and such, I should say. Sandy Shocks gets a middling doom. Onto maybe my favorite Pokemon of the draft. No, one of the sleeper picks. Absolute banger Pokemon. Noivern is amazing. Noivern, let me say that again. Noivern is amazing. An amazing Pokemon. For its value, absolutely. Absolutely. As I picked him as my defogger because I had 12 points and I was thinking, I don't want to do Talonflame again. Noivern really can deliver in every fucking way possible. It is holding Infiltrator, an amazing ability when it counts. I ran that for Gouging Fire if I was worried he would have sub, because Draco Meteor always killed behind sub, even if he was bulky, even though Noivern doesn't have great special attack, just because its move pool, all his attacks that have over 100 BP. I mean, it hits Hurricane, it hits Draco Meteor, it has Boom Burst for some fucking reason. You probably could have gone Terra Normal Noivern and just been ignorant if I wanted to. It's a beautiful thing. It's a beautiful thing with a beautiful move pool, which really I'm beginning to learn is something I value a lot in a Pokemon is its move pool. Its speed tier, 123 speed, outspeeds damn near anything. It's perfect. It's a perfect Pokemon. For the cost that it is, I mean, you switch into a Noivern thinking, oh, I'm gonna hit it with my Ice type Pokemon. Wrong. Heat Wave. Explode. Die. It's amazing, and I love him. And I would draft him again in a heartbeat, but I won't because that would be cringe. But I would, if I could. Norvin gets a perfect 10. A perfect 10. And you know what? Boom! 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 Shouldn't do that. Alan Norvin. On to Alan Momola. This fucker let me down for the first time in years. Alan Momola, I think maybe the only Pokemon that's returning. No, actually I've had Diplin before, though Diplin did not play a single game, so doesn't really count. Alan Momola, the returning champ, a Pokemon I value very highly for its ability to be a slow pivot. I really love just the value you get. You read a physical move is coming in, or special if you go AV Aloe. You switch Aloe in, it takes 30%, flip turns out after taking another hit, heals 30% back, and you got momentum. Just like that. It is a momentum generating machine. It provides infinite momentum as long as it is alive. It is perfect Mon, so long as nothing on their team can really break it down if you just don't let them, by avoiding it with a number of different Aloe sets that I even discovered this season after playing with Aloe for quite a while. I haven't had it the last couple of seasons, but I had it season 2, maybe season 4. I don't remember. You can run some bullshit on it. AV Mirror Code is a perfect way to catch people that want to exploit Aloe's bad special defense stat. Aloe does have dog shit special defense, it's 45, which obviously with 165 HP is not anything to sneeze at, but people try to abuse it by saying like, I'm just going to click Grass Knot, or I'm going to click some shit that hits it super effective on the special side. You run AV Mirror Code, Bagoosh! One hit KO from the Aloe, which you never expect. And even after getting chunked like that, switches out Regenerator. I think pivoters with Regenerate are sublime, which is why I think Cyclizar is a great Pokemon that can get slept on. But all that being said, positively, he didn't really deliver this season. There were a number of things that he couldn't deal with, he couldn't put up with, and it pains me to say this, but I mean, put him into a Volcanion, what are you going to do? I had to run damn Baton Pass on him for Volcanion, and it didn't even, it was ass. I also made the mistake, I think, of terrestrializing it. It's been an ongoing argument, uh, me and Noah, that Terraring Aloe is bad. On the Smogon official sheet, it says Terraring Aloe is bad in draft. It's not worth it. I disagree in some ways. I think a smart Terra on Aloe at the right time in a game, when you're able to tear it into something that then will never be broken. I think you can set up for things like that, such as once you get rid of their steel attacker, or if they don't have a steel attacker or something, you switch into Terra Fairy, or if they don't have any poison, just if they don't have any way of dealing with Terra Fairy and you Terra Aloe into Terra Fairy, it really does become that infinite switch in potential. So anytime they try to put on pressure onto you offensively, you can just put in Aloe, eat the damage, and flip out. And obviously there are ways to play around this. I'm not saying it's a foolproof strategy, but it works very consistently a lot of the time. I did Terra Aloe once this season and it didn't work. It was against Noah. I believe I Terra Fairyed it to deal with Zarude, who was going to hit it with obviously Grass Stab, which would have obliterated it. But it just didn't do that much. But I think most of that is because it was also the week that I was playing Aloe into Volcanion. I was playing Aloe and Arachnid into Volcanion, which was just such a shit show. I was sad to have that matchup. I had no way of dealing with Volcanion at all on this team. I couldn't figure it out. Even going into the match, I hadn't come up with a solution. Rubambi and Volcanion just shit on me for no reason. Anyway. Aloe, my dear old friend, I think you are slept on by people who think that slow pivot is bad, and that you are a Pokemon that can be set up on, but that 165 wish is hitting, and this thing is living whatever you throw at it, and it is giving me a free switch into Urshifu. I love you, Alvamola. Don't change for anybody. But I have to give you 6 out of 10. because you just didn't hit that. You just didn't hit that hard this season. I felt like I wasn't able to get too much defensive value out of it. 6 out of 10. But now we're on to a beautiful Pokemon, a true specimen. A Pokemon that I almost didn't draft, but because Max sniped my Gweezing, I was forced to. At the same cost, I bought Okidogi, a stupid looking Pokemon, who I now think is a beautiful Pokemon. He's just a weird Frankenstein cat with a choker on. I don't respect his vibe. I didn't respect his whole thing. I thought his name was funny, Okidogi, but it wasn't until I played with him that I began to respect his playstyle, his bulkiness, his stat line, his coverage. Okidogi, is there anything you can't do? Look at this. Look at this. 128 attack, 115 defense. Not amazing HP, but good. With the defense as bulky, you can run AV on it if you'd like. And he is a guaranteed chunker. He will chunk anything on the opposing team. His ability is amazing. Toxic Chain. You click that with a Poison Jab, you're gonna poison something eventually. You know, click it twice. Guard Dog is also just a great thing to have in your back pocket if you were to play against a Landorus, Therian, or there are actually a number of Intimidators on the squad. It also means you can't get roared. If you ever play against, you know, Tinglu and he tries to Whirlwind, you just put in Okidogi. What are you gonna do? The fuck are you gonna do about it, little bro? What are you gonna do about it? Next turn, you know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna close combat you. Explode. Okidogi really put in a lot of fucking work this season, I gotta say. I think he is a great Pokemon. I think where he is on the board, low-key, quite undervalued. For 10 points, are you fucking kidding me? This thing is amazing. And obviously there is a lot that hits it very hard. Let's pull up the prep doc. Pardon me. I didn't prep Ethan, by the way. This is just so I can look at it. Okidogi, obviously, the Psychic weakness is the biggest problem. Quad weak to Psychic, as you can see I'm circling here. This graph is a lot to look at, so don't worry about it. But the point is, he's quad weak to Psychic, which is one of his biggest problems. But I think paired with a team that is generally not weak to Psychic, if you can, you know, as long as you can predict when the Psychic is coming properly and you don't leave yourself exposed to it, it's just like any other quad weakness, Landorus or Gliscor, anything like that. It's just play around it. Be smart, and you won't have trouble with it. I never really had a problem with Okidogi dying to Psychics, because I always would just check if they have it, and if they have it, and they put it into Okidogi, I would just assume they're about to click it, because why else would you switch into this behemoth of a Pokemon? He is, I cannot say it enough, he is quite a unit. Almost the same attack as Urshifu, by the way, with also amazing stab, close combat. Great Pokemon. Okidogi gets, as a matter of fact, another 10. Boom. And now I just sound like a glazer because I'm about to talk about Arachnid, who is actually my MVP of the league. 7-3. Just shits out damage. Cheap as fuck mon. 8 points. Wasn't even expensive to Terra. I think 13 points to Terra. Maybe more, maybe less. This is a Pokemon that can really just... I think... Let me just say what he does first. He can set webs. He's got great special defense. I think, like, was it 120, 130 special defense? 132 special defense, which not amazing HP, but with that special defense, you put an AV on, what could possibly kill you from the special side? Especially when you can Terra and you have water bubbles so that fire can't even touch you. He's an amazing Pokemon. There's a damn good reason they use him in OU, and it's not just for sticky webs. He's better than Rabambi because he is able to tank hits very well, and he's able to dish it out just as easily. In fact, he's able to dish it out amazingly. You can run attack or special attack, Hydro Pump or Liquidation, whatever the fuck you want. He hits like a damn nuclear bomb. I'm going to show you a calc real quick. Let's see Bandit Urshifu with Bandit Arachnid real quick. Bandit Urshifu is doing 84 to 98 off of a stab Wicked Blow, his best move. One of the best moves in the game, supposedly. Arachnid is doing more damage off of his stab liquidation. More damage. You reading that right? Bandit, the same situation, same set. You just have Arachnid. Oh, I'm sorry, I'm covering up the calc. Look at this. 84 to 98% off of Wicked Blow, compared to 84 to 99% off of Liquidation. Very close, but one of them, you may notice, is worth 24 points. The other one is worth 8 points? If you want a wall breaker, don't waste a quarter of your fucking points picking Urshifu. Pick this little fucker, and you can also get sticky webs and whatever the fuck you want with 2 Terra types. I didn't even Terra him yet. If I Terra... He's not Terra Ghost, I don't know why it defaulted to that. If I Terra, it does way more fucking damage. And I'm always gonna Terra, buddy. I'm always gonna Terra, so you don't even need like a band to kill. You could just put a Life Orb on, or whatever the fuck, put on Mystic Water. And it can still kill! Now this is one situation against you know, obviously not very bulky Mon, physically. But it's just to show that the damage it is doing is comparable and in many cases better than Urshifu, who, as far as I'm concerned, his main selling point is hitting pretty hard. Now Arachnid does not have Sucker Punch, but Arachnid does have Custab Berry, which, when paired with Sticky Web, you put out a Sticky Web, take 70%, and you say, guess what, buddy? Boom! Liquidation. Something's dying. Don't care what. It's something. Put something out. Use something that resists water and bug and ground, because that's my other Terra. Oh, you have Volcanion? My fault. My fault. Actually, my bad. I didn't Terra Ground. I think I was between Terra Ground and Grass a lot of time as Arachnid. Grass was to prevent the electric weakness, though I do wish I'd picked something maybe... something more offensive wouldn't be worth it, because the problem with Arachnid is, of course, that it can only really hit hard with a water-type move. So things that resist water, obviously a lot weaker. Arachnid gets a 10 out of 10. Not specifically for the value it provides, but because it is a really fun Pokemon. Arachnid is maybe the most fun Pokemon I got to play with this season. Very unique Pokemon. Three booms. The boom meter. Alolan Persian. He played one game and he didn't do anything for me. I gave him a 5 out of 10 because that wasn't really on him. That was kind of on me. I never made it work. This is kind of where the Rogues Gallery of Shitters comes in. I drafted like 5 Pokemon that I maybe should never even brought. The exception to this being actually Cryogonal. The Pokemon I brought 3 weeks. I think he lost me every week. But maybe I lost me every single week and Cryogonal was just a bystander. He is amazing for his cost. I don't have to tell you this. If you play Pokemon, you know this. He's got a Levitate. He can Terra into fuck all he wants. He's got a good special defense. He's got a good move pool. You know, freeze dry, screens, rapid spin, explosion if you just want to get the fuck out of there. I ran double screens explosion one week and I thought that was a very strong set. Lost the game. But it was a good set. So Cryogonal, honestly, 8 out of 10. 8 out of 10. You know what he does, and he does it great. For cheap. Diplin, I didn't play a single game with him. Diplin gets an NA out of 10. Just NA. Electric. I oversold this Pokemon. I thought I would be able to bring him a lot more than I did. I brought him 1 week, and that was the first week. And so he has good defensive stats with Eviolite, right? That's what Eviolite does. Gives you good defensive stats. And I thought paired with his move pool, which is not half bad, can set a light screen, he can T-wave, he can full switch U-turn. Super Fang is good, decent on a budget mon. I thought he was worth a lot more than 1 point. And I thought for, that shitter cost, this could be a great Pokemon. And it was really frustrating to learn that in our requirement to have 2 D tiers, that did not mean 2 D tiers or E tiers. It meant, no, you need 2 D tiers, period. You can't draft an E tier and say, oh, but I have something worse. That should count. So I ended up drafting Electric and also drafting like 2 other shitters. Or D tier Pokemon, sorry, I shouldn't say shitter. And I ended up basically never wanting to bring Electric once. He's got good bulk, and he's got no weaknesses. And he can pivot. And he can spread status. So you know what? Not bad, but basically never better than something in this top 8, is what I would say. I learned pretty quickly that anything he could do, Iron Crown could basically do it. Give him for his value, with that in mind, I'll give him a 7 out of 10. Just because he never really did too well. These are my ratings. This is the team. And now, finally, we can move on to the performance. For those of you in this league, it is no surprise that Tokyo Thomas did not perform very well this season. And before I go through the performance, I just want to say I take all these losses in stride. I will say I deserved any loss I received. It is due to my performance, and I will not blame my Pokemon, any lack of trying, anything like that. That being said, I will say there was definitely a given point in the season where I decided I was not really going to try anymore because I figured, well, I'm basically out of chances here. And that was about 3 or 4 weeks in. If we were to look at the schedule, I believe I lost 1, lost, and then lost. And so I was 1-3, and that was pretty disheartening. I think after that I kind of was about to give up 1-3. I mean, your odds of winning are pretty low, and then I played Devon and lost again in a very unfortunate series of events, and that was my season. So at 1-4, we can touch on my game with Cheyenne later, but I will say the first 4 matches I tried very hard for all of them. Yeah, I think that's accurate. I would have to review my teams again, but summary. Season week 1. I'm at my lake house. Let me restart. Week 1. I am at, not my lake house, my friend's lake house. Dylan, who will be in the season, this next season. And we're all a bunch of Pokemon players, and we're playing our first week of the draft league. We're excited to use our teams. I'm excited to use Urshifu. Never used him before. Didn't get to do too much prep because I'm out and about. And I bring a team to play my friend Eric, who actually I brought in to play this season because I was excited to get him into the league and get him to meet my friends and to hang out. And I thought, it'll probably be a sweep. I mean, he doesn't really know how to play draft too well, and we all have this learning curve when we start playing. And I lose. And I don't know how I lost, though if I had to guess, we can take a look at the team I brought. Urshifu cost 24 points to draft, and now this is not a perfect method for analyzing a team, but Urshifu cost 24 points to draft. My next highest cost Mon was Arcanine at 13. And it goes all the way down to Electric at 1 point. And this was before I really knew that Electric can do too much. I wanted to see him do well. I think a lot of the season was me having this idea of how I can extract value from these Pokemon and trying to get it out and then kind of failing. Losing to Eric was a very hard start. embarrassing, honestly, because I prep him every week and I tell him what I think is going to be the best plan, and he defers to me to hear all these strategies and stuff for drafting. Tries to hear me out, and then I lost, and I was thinking, oh my god, that's so embarrassing. Not because Eric is a bad player, because he's obviously a good player. He's played in other formats before, but he was new to drafting. So to lose in this way was very harsh. Week one. Um, I think up until this season, I was a player that, excluding season one, in which I barely played my matches and didn't really know what type speed what. I've made playoffs every single season, and I've been top five, I think, every single season. I might have gotten seventh last season. I don't remember. That was a quick one, so that's all to say. I haven't really lost a regular season like this to players I haven't played before, and it was a bit of an ego check, I would say, and a bit of a feeling to me of I wonder what Urshu should have done there, and that was the start of the doubts. Week two, I played Dion. Uh, I really never respected his team. I kept talking shit about it. Everyone kept telling me it's really good. I beat him, and that made me feel good because I was like, well, I wasn't wrong. I wasn't wrong about what I perceived as weaknesses with the team, and I tried to exploit them as best I could. And the game just went well, and I won. That was, of course, I'm going to show something real quick because it's funny. Um, my match against Dion. Here it is. Take a look at this first turn. Urshifu, my star player versus Electrode. So Urshifu is already off to a pretty bad start this season. That was a game I won without Urshifu existing, essentially. I got a lot of shit for this game from compatriots of mine. I dead ass forgot he could Terra Fairy. I didn't even prep for it. And if I take a look at my prep here, I'm gonna expose myself in a minute for how much I prep for things. I didn't prep too much. I really just looked at what my team can do. I didn't look at all at what Dion's team is capable of. And so, for Eric, same thing. Not too much prep. Uh, Interestingly, I think after the Dion game, I don't know what was going on in my life. Maybe Thanksgiving. Now that I think about it, I don't know. Um, I didn't prep at all for Sam, and I don't know why. In a typical week, to expose my prep habits, at least for this season, it'll be different next season. I put a list of all the Pokemon on each team. Let me see. This will be a better representation of my Noah team. Um, I'll put a list of all the Pokemon on each team, their speeds, their stats, uh, and then I go through and do matchup analysis, and I see what Pokemon beats what's going to check each thing on his team that I anticipate being a problem, and where can I find the most overlap so that the team I bring is able to check the most possible sets that they will bring, while also bringing on a win con for myself that has a good chance of winning. And so that's what I did for a couple weeks after what I've done in previous seasons. Um, but after Dion's match, I just didn't prep for my week three, which was against Sam. And understandably, it was a blowout. Sam is a pretty good player. Sam is a good player. Sam's other win was on Josh, who is a potential favorite to win the league in general. So can't really be too mad at myself there for losing to Sam. I think their team was very strong. I was very stressed out for Sylveon. My team was not very good against fairies at the end of the day. Um, Despite having a steel type Iron Crown, just can't check everything. Fairy related, so. I lost that game. And so at this point I'm 1-2. And I felt again, I didn't feel like Urshu was acting like a 24 pointer. I didn't feel like I was really pressuring my opponents in the way that I thought I was going to be able to. And maybe to take a step back and think where could I've gotten more value, a lot of people will ascribe value to the sucker punches Urshifu as being a good kind of cleaner there as just, come in with Sucker Punch, you can kill anything at half health. I didn't know how I'm supposed to get everything to half health to just let Urshifu clean up, and even if you do, I mean, is it really that much better than King Gambit, right? I don't know. I don't know. I still don't know why Urshifu was necessarily such a shitter this league, but the way I used him and the way that I experienced him didn't feel like a 24 pointer. Didn't feel like the star of the show, maybe. Anyway, a bit back to the draft part, which I don't mean to do, but I didn't draft an A tier. My strategy was to draft a B tier second and get my pick of the litter for the B tiers. Unfortunately, a player, Josh, in the league knew I was going to go on a beeline for Tinglu second, and decided he would do the same thing and just took Tinglu before I was able to, because he got his I don't know what my second pick was. I think, anyway, he got it. He got a pick before me, I think, on there, and so that was a little bit sad. But yeah, it meant that I didn't have an A tier at the end of the day. I had 3 B tiers rather than 1 A tier, 2 B tier. Anyway, week 3, a bit sobering. And then week 4, I prepped a lot. Noah is a strong player. He had kind of didn't get the impression he thought very highly of my draft, and so I thought, let me prep my ass off. Let me try to bring something that really checks his team. And I lost basically every mock I did with my friends against Noah's team. I just couldn't find a way to. I could never find a way to break through Volcanion and to break through everything on his team to properly wall Rabambi. I think I could have done better, actually, but I didn't prep enough for Rabambi. And then Gouging Fire, I spent a lot of time making sure Gouging Fire couldn't set up with this bullshit Tickle set on Alamamola that we cooked up. And of course, because Noah preps with Max, who is the best in the league, he was primed for that. And he knew to expect the Tickle Alamamola set because, of course, he thought of it. So, hats off to them. They prepped better than we did, perhaps, and I don't know if I played that game particularly well. I did bring a very interesting set, I will say. Eject Pack Noivern was something, I'm sure it's been done a million times, but it was something I independently came to the conclusion was a cool set I could try. I was just looking at different items I could run on Noivern. I clicked Draco into Landorus, and no matter what it would hit, I figured it would be a good way to pivot out the Noivern into something strong like Urshifu. Anyway, team didn't work that week. And I got 5-0, which is pretty bad. So at this point, again, 1-3. Things looking rough for Tokyo Thomas. My worst season as of yet, basically. And that's the game against Devin. And I will also show this game, because this is the only game I think I'll have Johns about being unfair. Because first of all, my opponent Devin was very drunk at the time, which I thought, oh cool, a win. I didn't actually think that. I DM'd him like, hey, we don't have to play right now, like if you're drunk, and he was like, no, let's do it. I thought, all right, it's like Sunday night, so let's do it. The team I prepped for was completely removed from what he brought. I prepped for Dondozo and Blissey because I prepped with Dylan, and Dylan always thinks that Devin will bring Dozo Blissey, and he basically never ever has, ever. And so I wasn't really ready for this team. Good read on my part there. Another Ice Punch, and so things are looking good for me to start out. This is the first Ninetales play. He puts up Aurora Veil. And what you're going to see, just to skip ahead a little bit, is basically all Drunk Devin ever tried to do in this matchup was set up a Pokemon behind Aurora Veil and try to sweep with it. That is ostensibly his entire game plan, and it worked. I put in Urshifu thinking, oh, I can hit through the Veil or whatever. I got 2 paralyses, but that's whatever. I probably should have Sucker Punch there. I don't know if it would have killed though. Maybe I should have checked, but you know. Here comes Volcarona for the second set I'm on after Mousehold. Quiver Dance, and here is the problem. Let me pull some calc real quick. Oh, perfect. I already have it up. So the set that I brought, I believe, was let me find it. I don't know if I was Specs. I can't recall, but I do remember that in this specific matchup, I thought, well, I just have to hit him once before he can get like a big boost or whatever, and I'll just kill him or something. It's a 2-hit KO, guaranteed whatever I click. You know, I have Psy Shock, I think. And then I got paralyzed twice, and he got 3 Quiver Dances. So to go back, he switches in, paralyzed, and that was basically the game. He got finally a 3rd Quiver Dance, and by this point I was pretty annoyed. Let's see, Psy Shock did that much. So yeah, I was probably Vest then, which means you know, I had a good chance at 2-hit KO. Got a lowish roll, getting 45 right there, but I have a good chance to kill again here. If I ever just got 2 attacks on Volcarona as Iron Crown, it would have beat its ass. Or at least, if he had killed my Iron Crown without me getting paralyzed 2 turns in a row, he wouldn't have been so set up, and I maybe could have gotten more out of it. But I got paralyzed twice in a row, and that means that he got to fucking +3 Volcarona Quiver Dance, which is very fucking strong, and I was really struggling to find what the fuck to do here. Obviously nothing outspeeds, and my priority doesn't kill yet. So I thought, well, this can live on. I got fortunate it did. I had to let Cryogonal die, basically, by setting up Light Screen. That was the only way to live. I set up Light Screen, and then I put in Okie Dokie. And he gets another boost, which is unfortunate. But all of this was done just to barely survive that Volcarona. And this is Pokemon, so I know like these things happen. But it's just little bad chances like that is the difference between winning and losing a game sometimes. Especially with just like paralysis in front of a mon that's setting up on you. We saw it last night. There was a game in Emory Pokemon League where a player max got paralyzed twice, and luckily it didn't end up changing the match. But man, it can be really tough. And then he gets another setup, Aurora Veil, and I'm just losing it. I'm thinking, well, I'm still up in Pokemon, you know. I'm sure it'll be fine. And he's fucking Scale Shot setup Garchomp. And I just think, Christ, I really lost. I don't know why I thought I was faster, or that I didn't Sucker Punch, or what. I guess I was worried he would Swords Dance. And it's just dead. It's just dead. And Gengar can't kill it, and the whole team just dies to Earthquake. I don't know. I don't know. That game was brutal, and that really took the wind out of my sails. Yeah, yeah. I guess that was my 4th loss. So I'm now 1-4. Brutal start, and again, you'll notice Ursula didn't do anything, and I'm just thinking, God, I mean, what could I be doing differently to like make these things pop off? How can I support this little bro? And I thought about, you know, dropping some C tiers, refinancing for an A tier, something like that. But it just never made sense. The more I looked at it. And it is here I have to reveal that in my 6th week, I didn't throw the match, but I ostensibly brought meme sets, which is something I had already kind of decided to do once I knew I was out of playoffs. Still try to win, but bring sets that aren't guaranteed to win, which when I have no say in playoffs and my opponent basically can't make playoffs, doesn't matter. Didn't affect anybody. Cheyenne is a friend of mine who I brought into the league. I made his team for him. I show him how to play when I can. He enjoys the game, and I was thinking, you know what, bud? Believe it or not, your record's better than mine. And if I lose, you have a chance to make playoffs. And so I brought some pretty bad sets. And so I don't really have an analysis for this game because I think everything I brought was dog shit. I think I ran Metronome Gengar. And I don't even remember what my other set was. Some stupid shit. But yeah. Scarf Okidogi pops off. Scarf Okidogi missed 2 gunk shots in a row and died, which is all I remember from this game. Yeah, that game did not matter. And then my final game, which I truly don't even remember, was against Jackson. I actually don't even remember what happened. I also brought shitter sets for this game too. I don't think he prepped for even like a minute. We played like the day after games were announced, and I just 5-0'd him. So nothing really to learn there. And that was my performance. Ended up 2-6, which is not good. I don't have to tell you. Sorry, 2-5, not 2-6. Why did I think I was 2-6? There were 7 weeks. Dumbass. 2-5. Ending in the bottom 5 of the league of 20, bottom quartile. Sad to see, but I felt pretty bad about this season. I felt a lot of doubts about myself, and then from there I'll go into the takeaways. The final section of our analysis, our post-mortem here. This season made me feel like I was dog shit. I don't think I'm a bad player, necessarily. I think I understand things about the game that other people don't think about a lot of the time. I think a lot about reads. I think about the mind games. That's very engaging for me. I think a lot about team building. It's really fun for me to team build. But some way, somehow, this season, I not only drafted a bad team, but I didn't maneuver it very well. And to that reason, I ended up with a pretty shit season. It was a very disappointing one. First time in the past year, I guess, I've made playoffs. I feel like I put myself on fraud watch internally. Don't worry, self-confidence outside of Pokemon is great. I love myself. But as a trainer, as a Pokemon trainer, I'm starting to feel like I gotta reconnect with my roots. And I gotta refine what it means to be a great Pokemon trainer. And in this next season, I'm gonna do just that. And I'm gonna see what I can do to make the dubs happen. I'm not gonna say I'm gonna like sweat, because I'm not gonna sweat. But I think this season I really tried to step out of what I typically think is good and fun to play, and I tried to draft a very unique team to this season, and it didn't work at all. So I guess that's all to say. I would like to go back to what I know, and what I think intuitively is good to me, because truly the biggest takeaway I've found this season is you need to draft a team that fits your playstyle and that fits how you view the game, because everybody views the game through their own lens, right? Their own perspective of this is good, this is bad, this is everything in between. And if you draft something that on paper is good but doesn't fit your specific game plan, your way of finding win cons, your way of prepping, your way of playing, it's not going to be good. And I just want to highlight as an example a couple specific teams. Ethan, if you're watching this, I hope you're not. I doubt you are. I realize now the recording's an hour and 7 minutes long, so doubt you are. Ethan, I think your team is dog shit. I thought it was because of the way that I understand the game and the way that I like to play. But when I see you play it, it is superb. Because you like to play slow as balls and chip down your opponent and just make safe clicks that result in progress over time. And this team is great at that. It's great at that. I wouldn't draft, 8 out of 10 of these Pokemon on a typical league, just because I don't like playing with them and I don't think they really help me get to the team state that I want. But for you, it was perfect, because I think he here was really in sync with what he feels is fun for him and he can get value out of, because at the end of the day, how well you understand a Pokemon is exactly related to how well you're able to pull value from that Pokemon. If I wasn't able to use Urshifu very well, it's because I don't understand how to be an Urshifu player very well. That could be a lack of knowledge thing, or it could be a playstyle thing, or it could be any number of things. But I tried to live a life outside of my own in this league. I tried to fit a persona that I saw in Q the Costa Rican, the PPL player, the Urshifu player, and I thought, I can do that. I'll just figure it out. I couldn't figure it out. I would love anybody else's analysis of perhaps why this comp wasn't amazing, why it didn't perform very well. If it was just user error, that helps too, because then I know just don't fuck up next season. But it didn't feel like it. I felt in the past when I fucked up, and I didn't feel like if I did this season, it was something subtle, like my macro strategy, or like where I was finding my win cons. It wasn't anything mechanical really. A second example of fitting your playstyle, Spencer Con. Sorry, I hate to dox him. Spencer, you will routinely draft Pokemon that do not fit the way you like to play the game because they are good on paper, and I think that is a terrible mistake. Drafting Iron Bundle is the best example of this. You don't like inaccurate moves, and you don't like hyper offensive mons. You play slow, bud. You play stall. Me and Joseph tried to have this conversation with you a couple weeks ago. You play stall, bud. You had Gliscor and Dragapult, and you were saying, fuck Dragapult, let me just bring Gliscor this week. Let me bring my 8-point wall instead of Dragapult. Dragapult's not good this week. And that is not to say that is a bad way to play, but it is to say that you are denying your true self by drafting these mons that on paper are good and that maybe don't fit the way that you feel you're able to play efficiently on your own. I don't think you don't like offense. I think you use Ogerpon to great value. I think you use Thunders to great value. I think you use Crawdon to great value. But I just think Iron Bundle, when I prepped with you, felt like there was distance there. There was like an identity crisis of like, you didn't feel like you were the kind of person that would want to run Bundle, and yet here he was, the star of your show. It just didn't feel like you had any confidence in him whatsoever. I had that advice for Eric because he it's less of a playstyle thing and more of a mental thing. He had Jirachi. Eric is a player who will get choice paralysis quickly and easily when presented with too many options, and so as a new player, having Jirachi, which could just run just about any set. Same with fucking Flygon too. Same with Latios, has a lot of set variety potentially. It stressed him the fuck out. And he didn't like it, and he never knew what set to bring in a given week, and he always spent so much time agonizing over it. Compared to my boy Peachtree Primeapes, we gave him a team with basically zero set variety at all. There's like some, like Sneasler can do different shit, and you know, but it's just making it simple when you are a player that likes it to be simple in the sets that he brings, so that you can focus more on the gameplay and reads rather than, oh fuck, what move do I bring to counter this one check that he might have. It's important. Anyway, so my biggest takeaway this season: draft Pokemon. Now listen to me. Draft Pokemon that make sense to you, that you can see yourself winning with, and that you might think they're the best Pokemon in the league, and other people might say like, it's dog shit actually. If you think it is good, you will get more value out of it than those other people because you see something in it that they don't. It is definitely possible that you might be missing a weakness that they see, but if you hear them out and you hear what they say and you still think, but I think it's actually pretty good, you might be onto something. I've had this experience myself with Necrozma, Quagsire, Dipplin, some others that I was told are shittermons when I picked them up. They ended up doing stupendously, and then the next season we just nerfed it because there's unrealized gains, unrealized value in a lot of these Pokemon, and not just that. You see a good Pokemon that is known to be good, and you think that clicks with me. I can see myself using that to great effect. Pick that, because that's the one you're going to get the most value out of. I didn't understand what made Urshifu good, and that is what interested me. And I thought this season would be a season of me figuring out, this is why he's so good. I didn't see that before. Because really what ended up happening was I spent this time last season thinking, I don't know what makes this Urshifu guy good. I don't see it. It doesn't seem like he's good. And then I played with him, and instead of learning, this is what makes him good, I just thought, yeah, he's kind of whatever. So, that's all to say. Pick Pokemon that make sense to you. Or pick ones that interest you, but just keep in mind, don't end up like me, with Urshifu, holding the bag at the end of the day, thinking, how did I get here? 2-6, 2-5, fuck. Anyway, that's it for my postmortem. I thought this would take 15 minutes. It took an hour and 15. I've gotten like 100 work messages in the last hour. My bad. Guys, I gotta go. But if you did watch this, thank you for watching. If you have any comments, please leave them below. And yeah, thank you.